I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of December 2nd, 2019 to order. Roll call, please, Andy.
O'Brien.
Here.
Thomas.
Present.
Hood.
Here.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
6 present.
All right. And tonight we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Troop 627. Everybody please join me. All right. Troop, whenever you're ready. Nicely done, and thank you for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. So we have other special guests that I can't wait to introduce tonight, but we have to kind of go through the first part of the agenda. So first item is approval of the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the November 18th, 2019 Village Board meeting. Item number 2, approval of Fire Department recommendation to purchase 2 battery-operated extrication tools from the low bidder, Air One Equipment, Inc., at a cost of $50,092, 9010 Department of Homeland Security grant. Item number 3, approval of recommendation and letter of credit, approval of reduction in letter of credit for Bellwater Place tree planting to $77,690. Item number 4, approval of payroll for period ending November 22nd, 2019 in the amount of $862,342.17. Item number 5, approval of bills for period ending December 4th, 2019 in the amount of $1,318,976.83.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent
moved.
agenda as
Second.
read into the record? Motion from trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications. And we are absolutely delighted and honored to have our Warren Blue Devils football team representatives, Coach McNulty and Superintendent John Algrim with us tonight. And I can tell you on the entire village's behalf, we have just been thrilled following the team for this season. It's been amazing. These boys and young lady worked incredibly hard. The whole team worked hard, took a lot of grit, a lot of courage, a lot of determination, and they represented the school and the community so well with class and great sportsmanship. So we would really like to honor them tonight. So I'm going to read a proclamation into the record, and then I'm going to invite you guys to come on up. Our proclamation tonight is recognizing and congratulating the Warren Township High School Blue Devil football team for representing Gurnee in the 2019 IHSA Class 8A State Championship game. The Village of Gurnee wishes to recognize the Warren Township High School Blue Devils football team for representing us in the 2019 Illinois High School Association Class 8A State Championship game. And the Warren Township High School sports team have a rich history of competing at state-level tournaments and competitions. And the Blue Devils football team achieved a record of 13 wins and 1 loss during the 2019 season, culminating in the 2019 Class 8A State Championship game. And the Blue Devils boys football team competed for the Class 8A title after a challenging and heartbreaking loss against Lincoln Way East. And despite the loss, the Blue Devils' teamwork and good sportsmanship are the qualities that help the team make it to the state championship and will also make them outstanding members of the greater Gurnee community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Gurnee that the village officially congratulates the Warren Township High School Blue Devils football team, as well as its coaching staff, parents, and the greater Warren Township High School community on the outstanding achievement of representing Gurnee in the Class A state championship game. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Motion by trustee Garner, second by trustee Ross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we will get a signed, sealed copy over to the school, but right now I'd like to bring the team up, or the team that's, part of the team that's here, but Coach McNulty and Superintendent John Algren. Come on over here. You're gonna be in front of the cameras. This is videotaped. On video. This is like your 5 minutes of fame at a village board meeting. All right, it's all yours.
Thank you. Just on behalf of Warren Township High School, as superintendent, it's a privilege for me every day to represent the school. This fall has been very exciting for us. I'd like to thank the village for their support. Mayor Kavara came out this morning, as well as 3 trustees to share in our recognition assembly this morning with our whole student body, and that was indeed special for us. For those of you that don't know, Brian McNulty, he's been with us since 2007 as a teacher and coach with us, and in 2014 was named our head football coach. In the last 6 years, 5 of those 6 years, he's made the IHSA state playoffs. They've continued to progress each and every year, and this past year was obviously very exciting for all of us. And I'd also like to thank the village for reaching out, especially Pat, in the midst of us trying to do planning and celebrating together to make sure that the village could help in any way that they could. But for those of you that don't know, under Brian's leadership, his humility, his hard work, his passion, and his sense of teamwork, as well as just love for football, he's developed fine young men who have obviously have represented Warren very well and the broader community. So I'd just like to have you all know a little bit more about Brian and the gifts that he's brought to Warren Township High School. So can we please congratulate Brian?
We'd just like to thank the community for coming out and supporting us. The last week we knew it was very evident that the entire community was behind us. We didn't realize to what extent they were, but we saw it with everything from banners and junior high kids and everybody else. So we really like to thank everybody for that. I brought up a few of our team leaders. First is senior defensive tackle Willis Singleton. He's a 3-year starter. He's got a full football scholarship to Iowa State, which we'll be going to next year. And then we have Matt Rich, who's a 3-year starter on our offensive line. He's also have multiple scholarship opportunities that he's going to kind of sort through and see what he wants to do. But these 2 players represent our program better than anybody else that we have. They're 2 of many fine young men in our program, and we're just excited to be honored tonight. So thank you.
Well, the team is part of Gurnee history now, so thank you for just the joy of a football season, and we look forward to next year. Go Blue Devils! All right, we have a second proclamation for December for the National Impaired Driving Prevention Month, December 2019. Motor vehicle crashes kill 37,133 people nationally during 2017, and 29% of those deaths involved a driver impaired by alcohol. And the December holiday season is traditionally one of the most deadly times of the year for impaired driving. And for thousands of families across the state and the nation, holidays are a time to remember loved ones lost. And organizations across the state and the nation are joined with the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign that fosters public awareness of the dangers of impaired driving and law enforcement efforts to curb impaired driving. And the Gurnee Police Department is proud to partner with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration the Illinois Department of Transportation, Bureau of Safety Programs and Engineering, and advocacy groups in that effort to make our streets and roadways safer. Now therefore I, Christina Kovarik, Mayor of Gurnee, Illinois, do hereby proclaim December 2019 as Impaired Driving Prevention Month in Gurnee, and do hereby call upon all citizens and organizations to promote awareness of the impaired driving problem, to support programs and policies to reduce the incidence of impaired driving, and to promote safer and healthier behaviors regarding the use of alcohol and other drugs this December holiday season, as well as throughout the year. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee O'Brien, second by trustee Garner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, it's National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. And I didn't think anything could top the football team being here tonight, but this comes very, very, very close. We have our Gurnee Police Explorer Post 266 with us tonight, and Chief Smith is going to give us a report and an update on their activities the past year and what's been going on, and introduce us to these wonderful, outstanding young citizens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Mutes, Village Board, thank you for having us here tonight. We're blessed to have the opportunity to stand in front of you and talk a little bit about our Explorer program. As most of you know, you supported us in 2014 when we came in front of you and asked for your assistance and your support in starting a Police Explorer program. And so we are hitting our 5-year mark, and we're going to invite one of the Explorer advisors or a few of the Explorer advisors up to give you an update on the program. But again, congratulations to Warren High School and the football team. So from one group of young adults that the community is very proud of to another group that we're very proud of at the department, and we know that the community is as well. They're led by a very dedicated staff of advisors. And so if K-9 Officer Dan Ruth could come on up, and he's going to walk us through an update, and then we'll invite the rest of the group up. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The first thing I'd like to do, excuse me, I apologize, is introduce a few of the advisors that are part of the program. Sean Gaylor, who will speak here in a few moments, but we are under the leadership of Commander Jeremy Gaughan, and then also James Caldwell, Austin Dembski, and John Savage. Again, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity tonight to present to you. We hope that we can do this on an annual basis going forward, and you'll welcome us back. I'll turn it over here to Sean briefly to go over a little bit of the program.
Good evening. Just to give you an overview of the Explorer program, as we mentioned before, it started 5 years ago, but there is a process in order to join this program. And the whole outline of the program is it's open to teenagers who are ages 14 to 20, and the whole purpose of the program is for them to get involved in their community. So not only do they have an interest in law enforcement, they can have an interest in other areas as well. The program is developed to design these young teenagers into adults. So we teach them various activities, from learning anything from the criminal justice system to how to communicate with the public, how to be a role model in your own community. And some of those strict guidelines that we have to join the program include things such as a background check, just like we would for police officers. So we check with their students, we check with their grades. Are they keeping up with their studies in school? Are they already a role model citizen within their own high school community? Do they do community service projects? Because that's a very heavily weighted part of our program. Are they involved in the community? These are all the things that we look at. And then on top of that, they also go up in front of an oral board interview of their own peers. Are they respected amongst other people their same age? These are all the criteria that they need to meet in order to be a part of the program. Once they get into the program, that's when the fun starts. We start with the training scenarios. It's very much like being a police officer. We go over traffic stops, felony stops. We escalate it to the next level. We gradually teach them how to be police officers. Once they learn that, then we get to go on to competitions. Another fun part of the program and one of the perks. It's a very highly sought after position to be able to go to competition. We expect high expectations from them. They put in the time and dedication every Tuesday night for about 4 hours. So that dedication shows us that they're ready to go to competition and ready to compete against other teenagers their same age, whether it's locally in the state or across the country. Team building activities is another fun thing and also a morale booster for our group. Team building can include anything from us going out, having pizza for all the hard work and dedication that they've given to the program. That's a reward that we can give back to them. Or maybe we go out to paintball. All the tactics that we've already taught them and all the scenario training, now they get to apply it in something fun where maybe they come back and get the advisors if they have a chance to nail us out there. Like I said before, we also promote personal growth, character building, problem solving, gaining leadership skills, all these things that will apply to them in their future careers.
Not every one of these kids, it's very clear that not every one of these kids wants to be a police officer. We're okay with that. We have the explorer who wants to be a mechanical engineer, that's what he's going to school for. We have another explorer that's just going to go to law school. But there's one common theme about these kids, and it's service. And that's what we look for, that's what we strive for to build in the program. Once they're in the program, the law enforcement training is a fun aspect for them, but it's also character building and conflict resolution in a time when most kids are doing this, all the communications through a cell phone. Now these kids actually have to get out face to face, they have to solve problems, they interact with people in the community, and that's really what we're going for. The part we like a lot, and we would have brought the 79 trophies we have here, but we'll leave where we're at. We could use a trophy case. As proud as we are of these achievements, you'll see in the brief video at the end that these explorers have far greater achievements out in the community, but they have been state champions since 2015. Understand that when we started this program in 2014, we had very little time to prepare for our first state conference. We were very nervous. They will tell you they were nervous, but they went there, they knocked it out of the park. Since then, we have won state each time and taken home more trophies. At the national level, the explorers had the opportunity to go to large universities like Purdue University and Northern Arizona University to give them, one, an opportunity to travel. Some of these kids have never been on an airplane prior to going to NAU. And two, it also gives me the opportunity to see, do I want to go to a big school? When I'm done with high school, do I want to go to a big university? Or, like when we go to state and they go to ONeill or Lewis University, they can see what a smaller university is like. They also get to learn the difference between nicer cafeterias, bigger schools, not so nice and smaller schools and dorm rooms as well. Probably what we're most proud of was in 2019, this past summer at state, we received the Distinguished Unit Award. The reason we are so proud of that one, how that works is all the advisors, judges, dignitaries that are at the state conference, including the college campus staff themselves, watch what post is the most professional, most respectful, how they carry themselves. It has nothing to do with how well trained they are. It has everything to do with the people that they are. And that is a very, very tough award to win. We're really proud of getting that one. Like I said, 79 awards since 2015, but more importantly, over 34,000 hours of community service given back since we started the program. Explorer averages between 300 and 400 hours of community service a year, whether that's in Gurnee, the majority of the time, but also assisting other neighboring agencies. These explorers can be called upon to assist on a non-emergency scene if needed. They have done so in the past and done an excellent job.
So in addition to going to competitions and doing our weekly training, there's a lot of other added benefits to being a part of this program. As you'll see here, the Leadership Academies is one of them. It's an opportunity for our explorers to apply via an essay-based competition, and they're up against explorers from across the nation to go work with the DEA, the Border Patrol, ATF, the Army, Secret Service. These are all opportunities that they're given to go learn with these professionals for a week. Is this another area of law enforcement that maybe they want to get into? Or maybe they like the legal side more than the law enforcement side. So it opens up their horizons for opportunities. We offer many letters of recommendations for other scholarships, for school admissions, whatever they may need it for. In addition to scholarship programs that are offered not only through the National Exploring Program, we offer one here locally in Gurnee. It's a $1,000 scholarship. It was started by former Chief Woodside. And it's offered on an annual basis. So we have lots of opportunities for our explorers to get scholarships to continue their education. We've also had the opportunity to go down to downtown Chicago, visit the FBI offices and the Secret Service offices, and learn directly from those agents about what they do on a daily basis. So these are unique opportunities that most high schoolers don't get to do. I never got to do that as a high schooler, so it's a great opportunity for them to get out there and see what the options are. And as we mentioned before, leadership skills, communication skills, problem solving, this is all continually learning for them so they can see how to apply those in the future. These are just a few of the universities that our explorers are currently attending or have attended. And their education programs range anywhere from criminal justice to mechanical engineering, political science. It's a huge range, and we are so proud of them to be able to grow up as high schoolers in this program and then to see them move on to universities and graduate and have a career that's very successful for them.
As I said before, we go back to community involvement. Everyone sees the explorers around town working at our various events. One of the biggest things that the police administration at the time we started this program was pushed is that Chief Woodside really wanted the program to be very similar to the police department. He wanted the police department to adopt them and take them in. And as you know, we're very service community oriented. The explorers are no different. Not only the explorers help out in these events with parking and pedestrian control, but they've also gotten involved in all the outrun the cops, any type of charity, Cop on Top, Special Olympics. You'll see our explorers side by side with our police officers. Again, another thing that we as advisors are extremely proud of is the fact that the officers have welcomed them in and treat them as their own. A number of these details are within Gurnee, others outside, and they vary from parking cars, pedestrian control, but sometimes just information, a place of information for people to go to so they can get directions.
And another thing to add to that, we know that we represent Gurnee not only as police officers, but we want our explorers to represent Gurnee as well. So these are some of the things that we teach them as far as the character building is, when you put that uniform on, you are Gurnee. So that's why a lot of these places have contacted us on an annual basis, sometimes multiple times a year, because we've been able to help them out with parking control and other events, but they know that they're dedicated, they know that they'll show up, they know that they do a good job, and that's what we try to instill in them from year to year.
So how does the program work? The greatest thing is that it's self-sufficient. Since 2015, over $80,000 has been raised by the explorers working those details. We're going out and fundraising efforts to bring money in. What's the payment for these kids? It's going to competition, it's winning trophies, it's going on ride-alongs, it's spending time with police officers, it's wearing a uniform that they're very proud of. That's their payment, and they raise this money. Currently, the Explorer account has a little over $18,000. So what do we use that money for? As you see, the Explorers are wearing their Class A uniform. All the uniforms are purchased with this money. Maintaining the uniforms is also part of that money. When we go to these competitions, there's entry fees, plus there's food fees that we have to cover. That's all covered under the Explorer budget as well. Insurance. Learning for Life offers supplemental insurance so that if in the event an Explorer was injured, it doesn't put a significant burden on the parents. This insurance would kick in and cover. We also pay for that annually through the budget as well. And as Sean spoke of, when we do team building outings or if we celebrate, when the Explorers did very, very well at state this past year, of course we're going to go out and celebrate with them and have a good time and honor the hard work that they put in. Because ultimately what it comes down to, we work very hard, but these kids are outstanding. They're outstanding people in the community. I mean, it's funny because you had Coach McNulty up here, and I think winning and leadership must run in that family because I'm embarrassed for now, but Commander McNulty, would you please stand? So his middle daughter is in our post. She commands our drill team. She's been in our post since she was 14 right at the start. She's an outstanding example of this program. He's an outstanding example of a parent, and obviously a leader himself. But it just goes to show you that these are the kind of people that are in this program. It's pretty cool to see the connection here. In a second here, we're going to show you a brief video that sums things up. But honestly, we welcome any of you to come and observe a training meeting. If you're eager and you want to get involved and you want to be a role player, it's a lot of fun. I promise you, we'll make sure they don't hurt you. You have a real idea of what the hard work these kids put in. So again, we'd just like to thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to presenting you on an annual basis going forward.
Well, on behalf of the board and the community, thank you, Sean and Jeremy and Jim and Stan, for your leadership. You are definitely absolutely outstanding young citizens, and we're glad that we're able to create some opportunities to help you with life skills for your future as adults, and just a great program. I know we all enjoy seeing them at the different events, although I did do a kind of a double take the first time I saw Officer Dembski on duty. I was like, whoa. But no, it's great. It really, the program is very, very valuable, and we're very glad and proud that the Gurnee Police Department has an Explorer unit. So thank you all for being here too tonight. Chief, you want to wrap it up? Okay.
Thank you all very much. As you can see, we're very proud of the dedication, the hard work, and the commitment to the community and the department. So we're going to ask them all to come forward. If the advisors could join us up here. Gurnee Explorer Post 266. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, the rest of the agenda is boring. We have no old business.
Correct.
All right, we will move on to new business. First item is approval of ordinance 2019-80,
80.
granting a major amendment to an existing special use permit pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance for 5631 Manchester Drive.
Sure. So you had a memo from our planning manager, Tracy Velkover, on this. Gurnee Manor is a senior assisted living facility located down on Manchester Drive in Heather Ridge. They are requesting a major modification to the special use permit with really the intent of transitioning the facility from more of a commercial feel to a residential atmosphere for their patrons. To accomplish this, they're looking for the following. They're looking to convert the existing nurses station lounge and office area to an additional bedroom with 2 beds, convert the covered drop-off area to a screen porch with landscaping around the exterior, add a sunroom and connected exterior patio to the west side of the building, add windows, change roof lines, and change landscaping on the exterior to give it more of a residential feel, and then carve out an area in the multi-purpose room for medical records and medication storage. They were before the Planning and Zoning Board on November 6th and received a unanimous favorable recommendation, and now are before you for consideration.
All right, is Mr. and Mrs. Muskrats? There you are. Petitioners are here. Ms. Skrupski. Questions from the trustees? I think Trustee Thorstensen?
Mine's more of a comment. I attended the last Coffee with the Mayor at your facility, and I've received, not just the renderings, but really your concept behind your build-out. And I thought it was really well done. If you've had a loved one in a facility at all like this, to find out that you're going to put a sunroom, something that they really just need, not just a TV in front of them and some lounge chairs, but some really nice amenities. So thank you very much.
Other questions from trustees? It was, thank you for hosting the last Coffee with the Mayor, and several of the trustees were able, and they definitely are trying to create a more home-like feeling, as hard as it is to ever have to put your parents in assisted living. it's comforting to know that it's as home-like as possible.
Move to approve.
Motion by trustee Ross, second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
6
All right, motion carries. Welcome. And we will look forward to the ribbon cutting on the new improvements. All right, item number 2 is approval of ordinance 2019-81, amending Chapter 32, Section 32-36, entitled Planning and Zoning Fees of the Gurnee Municipal Code.
Sure. This is something we do on an annual basis with the planning and zoning fees. Typically, it's under the consent agenda, but since we had building and development fees on the same agenda, I moved it off and put it under new business. So back in 2012, we adopted an approach where we take a look at the fees on an annual basis and look at the CPI and make an adjustment based off of that, and then round to the nearest $5 increment. At that time, the village board requested that it be put on the consent agenda each year, just to keep it at the forefront. So the October to October inflation rate was 1.8%. When we applied that to the zoning fees and then rounded to the nearest $5 increment, this year we had 30 fees that increased, 10 stayed the same. Of the 30 that increased, 23 increased by $25 or less. The largest fee increase was for preliminary plan unit development greater than 100 acres, which increased by $105. So from $6,035 to $6,140. The next largest increase after that was $55. So like I said, this is done on an annual basis, typically under consent. But since we had development fees that we haven't updated in quite some time, put them both under new business tonight.
Questions for Patrick or for David? Trustee O'Brien?
Just one question. I know it takes effect, might take effect immediately. What about businesses, development opportunities that are already in the pipeline? Have they already paid, or is this like a surprise?
If they're in the pipeline, then they'll be under the current fee schedule.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion from trustee Balmas,
Second.
second from trustee O'Brien. Roll call, Andy, please.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
6
All right, motion carries. Item number 3, approval of ordinance 2019-82, amending Chapter 32, Section 32-33, entitled Building and Development Fees of the Gurnee Municipal Code. Patrick?
Sure. This one is a little more involved, and David's been working on this. It's been quite some time since we've updated the fees for multifamily and non-residential permits, actually last updated in 2004. So David did research, looking at inflation, our fees, surrounding communities' fees, and then came up with some adjustments. So he's going to walk you through that.
Thank you, Patrick. If you remember last year, early 2018, we broke out all of the single-family residential permit fees. I rebalanced those based upon more of a weighting on what the village's costs were, based upon manpower, review times, things like that, and then applied a 40% discount to what our actual costs were for each of the single-family residential building fees. The commercial fees, I took that into account as well. However, for commercial projects, it's not as clean of a science. Review times, number of inspections vary widely depending upon the type of project, the complexity of the project. So the best way to do those is based upon the cost of construction, which is how it was done originally or in the previous ordinance. So we basically went through, targeted a 7% increase for all building permit fees. Did take into account and adjust a couple of them that were a little bit out of sync based upon what our cost to issue those permits were. For instance, low voltage was one that we were ahead of the curve a little bit on how we calculated those fees, so I pulled that one down a little bit, but the rest of them were basically targeted at a 7% increase. Did a double check against what some of the other local communities are doing, and we're right in line with where everybody else is. The 7% increase was, targeted as a, fairly significant jump, but it kind of pales in comparison to the 22% cost of living increase that we've seen through the CPI over that same time period. So I think it's a fair adjustment since it hasn't been touched since 2004, these commercial fees. And if you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Questions from the trustees? We have quite a write-up in our packets. If there's no questions, do I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve.
Motion by trustee Balmas.
Second.
Second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please, Andy.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right, motion carries. Last item will be public comment. If you'd like to address the board, come to the microphone. We need your name.
Good evening. My name is Denise Rolando. I live at 3725 Clearview Avenue here in Gurnee. I'm here tonight to ask the board to please exercise home rule authority to ban ethylene oxide emissions in our village. As we can see, there's wonderful things happening here in the village. We've seen this tonight. I would love to see our board and our mayor take action immediately to protect the health of all these young people that are doing all these wonderful things and all their families. We want to keep Gurnee a place that they are going to want to stay and that other families are going to want to come and live here. I live 2,500 feet due east of Vantage. I live 4 blocks south of Spalding Elementary School. That canister that picked up elevated emissions from Vantage, that's 1 block south of my house, and it's 1 block west of my house. And my daughter, when we moved here 4 years ago, was a completely healthy athlete. 2 years ago, during her sports physical, the physician noticed swollen lymph nodes. Oh, we'll keep an eye on it. It could be nothing. This year again, sports physical, otherwise completely healthy athlete playing volleyball in Warren Old Plain campus. Now they're being monitored by ultrasound. So the terror that lives in my heart and in the hearts of many other parents in this community, just want you to know that we're counting on you guys. You were elected to represent us, and we're begging you to please exercise that home rule authority and ban this known carcinogen in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Susan Henning. I'm a 25-year resident of Gurnee. I live approximately 1.5 miles from Vantage. I'm here tonight to express my disappointment in you. You are the elected officials of Gurnee, and as such, I would hope that you would feel a moral duty to do everything in your power to protect the health and well-being of your residents. It would seem that none of you supported House Bill 3888, although it had the backing of senators and representatives from Lake County. Perhaps if you had shown support, it could have gotten out of the executive committee for a vote. I understand that recently you voted against allowing cannabis to be sold in Gurnee, ostensibly to protect Gurnee residents. Yet, as a home rural community, you have the authority to do something about banning ETO emissions here, and yet it doesn't seem that you want to do that. And it seems that you do not support legislation to move in that direction. ETO is highly explosive, as I know you are aware. This is another issue that puzzles me. Earlier this year, there was a large chemical explosion at a Gurnee plant very near Vantage. A chemical plant in Texas recently had 2 explosions where 60,000 people were evacuated. Vantage is within approximately a half mile of Spalding School, is it not? What if there were an explosion at Vantage? Would it be acceptable to the parents of the children at that school to run that type of a risk? As a home rule community, you should be getting rid of such a large risk to the health and welfare of our youth. Several of you sat directly behind me during the recent town hall meeting at the College of Lake County. I did overhear some of the comments that you were making to each other, and it did seem to me that you were not on the side of those of us who want something to be done about this issue. Again, this is very puzzling, as I do not understand why you don't seem to want to do that which is in your power to protect the well-being of our community. I'm going to share something very personal with you right now. Last Friday, I got a phone call that no one wants to get. It was the day after Thanksgiving. I was relaxing after a long week of cooking and cleaning and hosting company. The phone rang. The woman on the other end of the line told me that my recent mammogram had come back abnormal and that I have a mass in my right breast, and I need to come back in for further diagnostic testing and more imaging. The first appointment available is more than a month away. And when I asked about this, I was told that the 2 facilities in Lake Forest and Grays Lake that do this type of diagnostic work are filled with these type of appointments, and that is the earliest that I can get in. Others' appointments seem to be more urgent than mine, so I need to wait. I do hope that I can come back here in another month or 2 and tell you that it was nothing and I don't have anything to worry about. However, I am wondering, do you look at people like me and consider me to be collateral damage? Is it more important to have Vantage here in our community, emitting ETO, than it is for me and others to not have to worry about breast cancer? I wonder how you would feel if that call came to your daughter or your mother or yourself. I ask you to seriously consider your duty as Gurnee elected officials and do that which is in your power and eliminate ETO from our community.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Crawford, and I'm a resident of Gurnee. I have spoken here several times before at the Village Hall meetings, and I appreciate you listening to what I have to say. I'm requesting that you pass an ordinance to protect my family and I from the cancer-causing ethylene oxide emissions from both Vantage and Medline. We tried very hard to get stronger legislation passed in the fall veto session in the middle of November. And if that legislation had passed, I wouldn't be standing here right now asking you to protect us. But we all know that it didn't pass. So now, my only other option is to stand here and ask you to protect my family and other families in Gurnee and Waukegan, since we are breathing the ethylene oxide cancer-causing emissions every day. And we know that there are high levels of ETO emissions coming from both Medline and Vantage. Not only did the June testing results prove that, but now we also just got the first round of air testing results back from October. I know that you already saw them, but let me reiterate that on October 26th and the 27th, there was a result of 1.61 micrograms per cubic meter near Medline. And on November 1st and 2nd, there was 3.66 micrograms per cubic meter near Vantage. We cannot ignore these results. I do everything I possibly can to protect my family from toxins. We buy organic food. We use organic cleaning supplies, organic sunscreen, organic toothpaste, shampoos, chapstick. We sleep on organic mattresses. These are all things that I can control, and I make a choice to buy. I do not have a choice in the air that we breathe. I cannot protect my family from this poisonous air that we are breathing in every day. This is not fair. My family deserves clean air. My family deserves to not have an increased risk of getting cancer from living in Gurnee. I am looking to you, the mayor and the trustees, to make it fair. Please pass an ordinance to protect my family and I from this cancer-causing ethylene oxide emissions that is coming from both Vantage and Medline. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth ONeill. I'm here tonight in support of the Stop ETO organization, an organization that is made up of concerned citizens volunteering their own time, money, and other resources in pursuit of a healthier environment for all of us. I know you know this already, but I would like you to keep this in mind tonight as we speak and in the future. I understand that the Matt Haller Act has passed, and I sense a bit of frustration that Stop ETO continues to push for stricter solutions, and I want to address that specifically tonight. While the Matt Haller Act was a significant and important first step, there are many ways in which it is lacking. We pressed the Illinois EPA and the ATSDR at the town hall meeting held in October to tell us the safe level of ETO. They told us that no such number has been designated. So while we appreciate that Vantage's emissions will be reduced, the truth is we have no assurances that our children will be safe. In addition, no one has been able to tell me that under the Matt Haller Act, my kids are safe from an accident involving large amounts of ETO being transported in and around our communities. No one has been able to tell me that my kids are safe from a mishap at Vantage, resulting in a potentially catastrophic explosion, given the volatility of ETO. No one has been able to tell me that the applicable regulatory agencies will be able to keep a close eye on Vantage's compliance with the Matt Haller Act. In fact, John Kim told us that the Illinois EPA does not have the resources to do so. No one has been able to tell me that if the Matt Haller Act is not followed to a T, either deliberately or by accident, that the harm caused by potential large amounts of ETO escaping from Vantage can be undone. Until these questions can be answered to my satisfaction, as a mother whose most important responsibility is to keep my 3 children, ages 9, 5, and 1, safe, I will not stop asking them, nor will I stop advocating for stronger restrictions of ETO in our community. I ask that you please use the wide discretion allotted to you under Home Rule authority to take action for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Cathy Braxton. I don't usually do this, but I felt the need. I have faith that you are all going to do the right thing. So my only question, because I know there are alternate means that can be used instead of ETO, my question is when you're going to act and stop the use of the ETO and protect us and the children. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is CJ Walton. I am a Gurnee resident. I just wanted to call out that after a number of federal changes and I think the general state of things at the federal level, I, and I think quite a few folks can conclude that that with the rollback of the chemical disaster rule just days before an explosion in Texas and a fire in an ETO facility in South Carolina, it's pretty clear that the federal government it seems to be deferring to local to manage environmental affairs. And you know, there was a very, you know, we talked about the bill 3888 that didn't pass, you know, and it was cited as not passing for being very localized and didn't, you know, really cover more of the state. It was an effort to really push something through and make something happen. It was locally focused, obviously, because we're one of the sources of where this is. So it went that way, and it was a great attempt, but, you know, it sounds like the state still feels like there is progress to be made, and they don't seem to be really against limitations and further regulation. So this is still boiling down to a local level. And I do believe in the very near future, ETO will be eliminated. It'll be gone the way of asbestos, very little to no use. But we shouldn't have to wait and be exposed until then. That's, I think, the real thing that we're trying to do here. It's why I support the home rule action to halt operations advantage until the answers are clear. We shouldn't be waiting in the environment when nobody really has good answers. You know, we speak to Mr. Kim and we speak to all the folks with the IEPA, and nobody has a clear-cut answer. So why do we have to wait when that's not the case? You usually would err on the side of caution in this type of a situation. Back in January 28th, you had a village hall meeting, really bad weather, and not a lot of people got here. And you addressed a lot of ethylene oxide concerns at that meeting. One of the presenters that night was village attorney Mr. Winter, sorry, and he cited a few things that seemed to give the direction that home rule authority in this particular situation won't work. And you know, I went through, you know, some of that presentation, and I was able to find all the quotes from it in this document, the DePaul Law Review, published in 1977. Now, I don't claim that this is where he got all the information from. It's obviously, it could be a coincidence because it is citing our 1970 Illinois Constitution change and some cases right around that time frame. But the fact that all those quotes were in here does mean that it is referencing everything that happened before 1977. You know, one of the quotes on the slide said, "Control of air and water pollution, floodplains, and sewage treatment are often cited as important examples of areas requiring regional or statewide standards and control." That wasn't the end of the quote. The next line is, "At the same time, it is quite conceivable that both the state and various local governments can regulate the same activities and carry on the same or related functions without conflict or difficulty." Another quote that was in there was regarding to the public policy of the state, and the duty of each person is to provide and maintain a healthful environment for the benefit of this and future generations. The General Assembly shall provide by law for the implementation and enforcement of this public policy. At least in this document, that quote was referencing a case, City of Chicago versus Pollution Control Board. I'm not a lawyer, but as far as I can read here, this is a case where the City of Chicago was trying to get out of obligations set forth by the EPA, and they were trying to use home rule authority to stop it. So whereas home rule authority says you can work in line with the state government, this was a case where they were actually trying to intersect and push away. So I feel like this is an example of where they weren't. This can be a thing we can do still. And finally, just another quote was, "The General Assembly will provide leadership and uniform standards with regard to pollution control." Regard to pollution control continues on. "It was not the intention of the committee that the local government units be prohibited from acting in the field. It was instead the intention of the committee that under the leadership of the General Assembly, the intergovernment efforts complemented one another. There's a number of other things in here that, as I was reading through, seem to be examples of misuse of home rule that was ruled against. But regardless, it's all old. And we can be a point of change, and there are lots of instances of where 1970 writing of the Constitution has to get adjusted because of a particular situation. I really ask that you demand that our village be great and demand greatness and be something that it really can potentially be, and just protect us and take the step and do what you know we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just forgot one thing. The reason I asked when you will be acting on this is because I hear of young families talking about moving and leaving Gurnee, and I think that's really sad, and I don't think anyone wants to see that happen.
Don't leave. Just state your name again. These are recorded, and somebody will listen to the tape to do the minutes. So please state your name again.
Cathy Braxton.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barb Hernandez, and I'm a 22-year resident of Gurnee, and I've loved living here. It's a wonderful village, and there's so much to do, and it's a family place, and I appreciate that and all that you've done. I'm here to ask you to exercise the home rule to stop the ETO emissions. My otherwise healthy husband died of cancer, and like I said, we've been in this area a long, long time. He had nothing wrong with him. He was a runner. He ate well. He didn't smoke or drink. And he was a great guy, and the love of my life. And he's been gone now almost 8 years. It's a known fact that in Willowbrook, once Sterigenics stopped emitting the ETO, because one of the arguments that we've heard when we've talked with people is, well, you know, pretty much everything causes cancer, car exhaust, the food we eat, this, that, and the other. And even ETO can happen through cars, rotting bananas. You know, we've heard all that, and we know we don't dispute that. But those are things we really can't control. What we can control are the emissions that are coming from Vantage and Gurnee and Medline, of course, and Waukegan. And it's a known fact that in Willowbrook, once Sterigenics got sealed and shut down, that their ETO levels in the air plummeted over 90%. So we know that those emissions were a huge cause of the ETO that's in our air. So I just ask you to really look into the home rule and exercise that authority to protect this wonderful village, all of its residents, and not to mention all the people that come and visit at Gurnee Mills, Six Flags, and Great Wolf. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Barty. I'm a resident of Gurnee over 25 years. I just wanted to give you a little bit of statistical perspective. The current new legislation is limiting Vantage's emissions to 110 pounds a year. And I think everybody here would agree that we still feel that that level is too much. So I'd ask you to kind of think to yourself, at what point you would take action that you haven't so far. 1,000 pounds? 10,000 pounds maybe? If they're only allowed to let out 110 a year? Well, according to the US EPA website from 2009 to 2018, just a small amount of time, Vantage, and this doesn't include Medline, released over 34,547 pounds of ethylene oxide. That's egregious. And knowing what we know now, regardless of whether 110 pounds is safe or not, I think they've done enough harm to the community. So my opinion is they should not be allowed to release 1 more pound. Please take action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tatiana Santamaria. I'm also a resident of Gurnee, and I'm here also to ask Mayor Kavarik and Board Trustees to exercise home authority rule to stop and ban ethylene oxide in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yolanta Bamatlo, and I'm also a Gurnee resident. And I can't believe I've been coming here for a whole year, but here we are again. So first of all, I would like to thank the village for finally including a brief update on ethylene oxide in the recent Gurnee newsletter that was mailed out to our residents recently. It has been wonderful to see, it would have been wonderful to see some context around, what ETO is, how harmful it is, and why our air is being tested. Any individual who is new to this very serious issue should be given some background information, not just that air testing is being conducted. I was able to briefly speak with the coach of the football team, and I asked him if he heard about ethylene oxide and the emission issue, and he was not aware, nor were his 2 players aware of this issue, which tells me that we still have a lot of educating of our residents to do. We have 30,000 residents in Gurnee alone, and I bet the majority still do not know about this poison being emitted into their backyards. So the newsletter, your recent newsletter mentioned that air testing is being conducted for 90 days, and we're getting results. So the first few days of results came back, and we had the highest canister, which was a recording at the V2 location near Vantage. The ETO level of that canister was 3.66 micrograms per cubic meters cubed. So that is in an order of magnitude larger, considering that background levels for Lake County, or assumed background levels, are 0.05 or to 2.25. So 3.66 in comparison to 0.05 to 0.25. Okay, so what does that tell us? That tells us that despite the additional emission controls that Vantage has installed in April, we are still capturing high levels of ethylene oxide in our community. Did I mention that Spalding Elementary School is right next door to Vantage, like half a mile away? And if the wind is blowing towards Vantage, our children are inhaling a scientifically proven carcinogen and mutanogen. There's no doubt about it. If the wind is blowing towards a canister, the canister values are coming in high. So what am I holding here? I am holding a petition that was signed by over 1,100 local residents that live in Lake County, from Waukegan, Gurnee, Libertyville, Grays Lake, whoever signed up. And this was collected in less than 2 weeks, because basically when the bill was killed in the Senate committee, we've started this petition because we wanted to get some local action. So this petition is basically asking for our local leaders to take action and to exercise home rule authority to ban the emission of ethylene oxide in our village. Gurnee and Waukegan are both home rule municipalities with the authority to ban the emission of ethylene oxide within its borders. We urge you to act now to protect the health of our residents. So, and I'll deliver this. I couldn't print out, 7 or 8 copies, but we definitely have one because there's a lot of signatures.
We just need 1 copy for the clerk, please.
Perfect. I'll hand it off. And just one more thing I wanted to mention, which I'm not sure if you guys were aware of, but UIC a few months back came here to conduct a blood study. Are you guys familiar with the blood study at all from UIC? Okay, so thank you. So Basically, they took a sample of residents living around both of these facilities. I think that it was within a 1-mile perimeter. People volunteered to have their blood drawn, and the study results are coming back, and they will be published in the coming week. But the study indicates, based on what we were told from the researcher, and that will come directly to you, not to any of us, but we were told that there is a statistical significance between the individuals who live next to a facility versus individuals who do not, meaning their blood, their hemoglobin adducts were tested, and they were showing levels higher of ethylene oxide in their blood than the residents who live further away. I think that is, what proof do we need to take action? We have high levels in the air. We know this is a mutanogen and it's a carcinogen. We have a blood study that shows that people living next to these facilities have higher levels in their blood, in their adducts, hemoglobin. What else do we need to do to take local action to stop these emissions? And on this cover of the petition, I will read what the Stop ETO in Lake County team has posted. We implore our local Gurnee and Waukegan elected officials to protect the health of our residents. Please exercise home rule authority to ban the emission of ethylene oxide from a point source in Gurnee and Waukegan. Ethylene oxide is a known cancer and reproductive hazard. Stop protecting Vantage and Medline and start protecting your constituents instead. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Diane Surofka. Is this turned on? Yeah. I'm a 31-year resident of Gurnee. I'm in the center of the Venn diagram between Vantage and Medline, directly in front of the front gate from Great America. A lot of comments have been coming through from our neighbors tonight, and I'd like all of you to reflect on that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, before I close the floor, just for the public and for the record, our village does have a website specific to ETO, gurnee.il.us/ETO. And as the board knows, our assumed background levels, those were not what they were, and we've gotten that from multiple agencies, just for the record. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Balmas.
We can't hear you.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Thorstensen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.